Chapter 4, Confounding, Compounding. The chapter opens with an astonishing fact. $81.5 billion of Warren Buffett's $84.5 billion net worth came after his 65th birthday. It's a mind-bending truth, and it highlights the extraordinary, almost magical power of compounding. But here's the key point. Our brains are not wired to intuitively grasp how compounding works. We're good at seeing linear growth, but exponential growth? That's where things get tricky. Morgan Housel cleverly brings in an analogy from geology to explain this. He tells the story of how scientists puzzled over the causes of ice ages for years. It wasn't until the early 1900s when Serbian scientist Milutin Milankovic proposed that small changes in the Earth's tilt and orbit could lead to big climate swings. But the real insight came from Russian meteorologist Vladimir Köppen, who realized it wasn't the extreme cold winters, but the mild summers that mattered, because they allowed ice from the previous winter to stick around year after year, slowly building up into massive ice sheets over thousands of years. As glaciologist Gwen Schultz put it is not necessarily the amount of snow that causes ice sheets, but the fact that snow, however little, lasts. That's the magic of compounding. Small, consistent forces accumulating over time to produce enormous results. Housel then turns to Warren Buffett, the hero of the compounding story. While over 2,000 books have been written about how Buffett made his fortune, most people miss the simplest explanation. Buffett's real edge is time. He started investing as a child, stayed consistent, and kept going into his 90s. Of his $84.5 billion net worth, $84.2 billion came after his 50th birthday. Had Buffett been an ordinary person who only found his passion at 30 and retired at 60, even with his legendary 22% annual returns, his net worth would be around $11.9 million, 99.9% less than what it is today. Housel then contrasts Buffett with Jim Simons, an even better investor in terms of returns. Simons has compounded money at 66% annually since 1988, triple Buffett's rate. But here's the catch. Simons started late, in his 50s, and today his net worth is around $21 billion, only about a quarter of Buffett's. Why? Because Buffett had decades more runway. This is the untold secret behind Buffett's massive fortune. Skill plus time equals magic. Housel zooms out to explain that people often underestimate small changes in growth assumptions because they produce absurd, impractical results over long periods. He compares this to the evolution of hard drives. From the 1950s to the 1990s, storage went from 3.5 megabytes to 296 megabytes. But after 1990, things exploded. Today we have 100 terabyte hard drives. The jump feels unbelievable, yet it's a perfect example of exponential progress. The chapter also touches on how even the smartest people can miss compounding's potential. In 2004, Bill Gates criticized Gmail, wondering why anyone would need a gigabyte of email storage. That short-sightedness shows how our brains struggle to grasp compounding. Housel points out that none of the thousands of books dissecting Buffett's success carry the most important title, Shut Up and Wait, because that's really the heart of it, patience, consistency, and letting time do its work. He concludes with an important nuance. Great investing isn't about shooting for the highest returns, because those are often one-time miracles. It's about earning decent returns that can be sustained over the longest time possible. That's when compounding runs wild. In contrast, trying to chase massive, unsustainable returns often leads to tragic collapses, something Housel promises to explore in the next chapter. Key takeaways: small, consistent gains over long periods beat short-term miracles. The hardest part of compounding is patience, sticking with good enough returns over decades. Buffett's secret isn't just skill, it's time. A 75-year runway most people never have. Exponential growth defies human intuition. We're wired for linear thinking. Good investing is less about aiming for sky-high returns and more about endurance and repeatability.